How is it going, everyone? We've got quite a lot of updates to go over in this video about Ghosts of Yotei. MinMax had a rapid-fire questions interview with Sucker Punch's Nate Fox, and there was a lot of insight given about that game, and overall a lot of other aspects about Sucker Punch that I found rather interesting. They talked a little bit about Sly Cooper and how a large portion of Sucker Punch wouldn't be necessarily immediately excited to work on a new Sly Cooper game because the studio has evolved so much, but I do want to go over the details about Ghosts of Yotei that did drop. Kami over on Twitter had a great breakdown of some of the key information, so I'll go over that, the length of the game, some of the content, and some of the gameplay aspects of the title as well. But as I mentioned, Nate Fox from Sucker Punch did do a rapid-fire questions video with MinMax and noted some key information about Yotei. The world map is roughly the same size as Ghost of Tsushima, however, the game will be longer as far as the main story goes. If you go on how long to beat, the main story is labeled at around 25 hours. I spent a lot more time out of Tsushima, but I did do all the content in Tsushima, and obviously with a game like this, it really matters on the side content and how much of that you do, and it does look like they've put a lot of emphasis into the side content and having a lot of depth. Yes, there are so many games that have a lot of content, but you really, and ideally for me these days, I don't want the Assassin's Creed style of experiences where the side content, to me, especially in like Valhalla, was so meaningless in terms of how much depth it had. No, I would rather, yes, give me some side content, but I don't need an 80 to 100 hour game with so much side content that it's gonna be a lot of go here, fetch this, do that, and none of it is offering a lot of depth into the overall world of the game. I feel like Yotei is gonna go away from that. Hints at more than one playable character. Take that with a grain of salt for now. We'll see how that turns out. Fewer activities like bamboo strikes overall because Sucker Punch wanted more variety. Painting activity can be done with the touchpad. Atsu is not related to Jin and hasn't even heard of him. Confirms that both Ghosts of Tsushima endings are valid considering it's been over 300 years. Confirms the wolf will not be directly controllable as well. Left some other points out to avoid spoilers. As Kami noted, again, you can check out the interview done by MinMax and a lot of information is available there. I am very much excited for Yotei. I've said it over and over again, but I know people have skepticism, and I certainly was a little bit disappointed about the lack of Jin. I'm not here to get into that debate right now. However, Sucker Punch has offered me no reason to be skeptical with them. Again, they've dropped banger after banger, high quality game after high quality game for north of a decade and a half, 2 decades at this point. The Sly Cooper trilogy into Infamous 1 and 2, Infamous Second Son, Ghosts of Tsushima. They've done so many amazing games, and even though none of their games have hit that 90+ threshold on Metacritic, maybe Yotei will be that game. Tsushima, in my opinion, should have been in the 90+ threshold. So we'll see how the game turns out. Also, I would rather, and it feels like they are, that if there's gonna be things about Jin, I feel like they're trying to downplay Jin so much, and obviously this game is set so far after Tsushima, but let's just say there's a flashback sequence, hypothetically, I'm not saying there is, hypothetically, if there was a flashback sequence or something to that effect, you wouldn't want to be transparent about it. You wouldn't want to let the cat out of the bag, and if there's anything hinting at Jin, you don't want that cat out of the bag. I don't think that there's going to be a flashback sequence, but I would have to mention that Jin as this ghost has to be referenced throughout the game. It's set in the same universe, of course, but we'll see how that ultimately turns out. I know some people are also down about the backdrop of the narrative being a revenge story, and we've seen that so many times. Again, when it comes to that, it's all about execution and how that narrative evolves and how that narrative is designed from point A until the end point of the story. And yeah, it's a little bit basic, but a lot of stories start off very basic, and it's all about how you execute on the story. And with Yotei, hopefully that execution is of quality. And this is the major PlayStation first-party game of the year, and we haven't had, outside of Astrobot, one major first-party game that really showcases the PlayStation console since what? Spider-Man 2? Like, Astrobot was a smaller game. This is that typical true PlayStation big-budget single-player game that so many of us are desperate for. You know, narrative-driven, good amount of content, high quality visuals, big budget, and I'm not saying every game has to be in this line. That's why Astrobot was such a breath of fresh air, and it was a quality game last year, but I think so many people do link PlayStation first party with experiences like a Spider-Man 2 with a Ghost of Yotei, and it's been quite a while since we got an experience like this from a first party Sony studio. I get that they published Death Stranding 2 and so on and so forth, but from a first party studio, it's just great to see them back at the forefront with a game at the caliber of Yotei, and hopefully it turns out well. Other areas in the interview, they did note that they were all celebrating when Grand Theft Auto 6 was delayed into 2026 and it wouldn't come out in 2025. The thing with Yotei and GTA 6 is I do think there would be a crossover of people wanting to play both games, and I do think GTA 6 would affect a game like Yotei because it's an open world game, it's an action adventure game, and both of those games would be heavy time sinks that I do think, based on what Sony's expectations out of the sales numbers out of Yotei would be, and I would imagine they are relatively high, I do think it's best case scenario that GTA 6 ended up moving to 2026, but at some point, GTA 6 is gonna come out and some games are gonna have to be moved. And then also, it was asked what percentage of Sucker Punch would be excited about doing a new Sly Cooper, and Fox noted maybe 10% just because the studio has evolved so much, and Sly Cooper was 2 decades ago. I don't think he was saying it as in a way that Sucker Punch would be disappointed in working on a new Sly Cooper. It's just people that have had that history and that attachment towards Sly Cooper, that doesn't exist as much at Sucker Punch. I think that's what he was trying to get at, and I think some people are losing that in terms of looking at that clip. But nevertheless, I would love a new Sly Cooper. I don't think Sucker Punch is going to be working on a new Sly Cooper anytime in the near future. And really, as far as Sony and how they support their legacy IPs, that's pretty much non-existent at this stage of the game. Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Infamous. We don't even get remasters of these games. And you're asking or thinking about a potential new game out of Sly Cooper. I just think that's not going to happen anytime in the near future. I would love to be wrong, but that is going to do it for me. Again, some new Yotei updates. I am incredibly excited about the game. I know there's a level of skepticism out there. The reviews are going to be posted a week before the game comes out, and that always leads me to being a little bit confident in when they are this confident about how a game's going to turn out. It's also going to be around 85 gigabytes. Review copies were sent out a while ago, so reviewers are having ample time to check out all the content in the game, so that's pretty cool as well. That's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.